Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest edition of the CryptoAM Daily Catch-up over virtual coffee, where we chat about what's going on with COVID-19, what the impact is of what various governments around the world are doing, how it's affecting businesses, how they're responding, and how people are coping with isolation, quarantine, distancing, and what other rules and regulations are being introduced. We have a mixed bunch of people who connect. It's open to everybody. So sometimes we get people from New York, from Spain, Singapore, Hong Kong, all around the world. And then other days we just have a couple of people chatting who are maybe from London or Bristol. So we really don't know what to expect. I hope we have an interesting conversation today. Let's see what happens.
Hello, how are you?
Hey, Alistair, good afternoon. How are you today? You all right?
Yeah, feeling, first time we've spoken actually. We've communicated many times on various threads, but pleasure to meet.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the idea of this kind of session, really. That when I've been involved in some of the WhatsApp groups and Telegram groups, people chat away, and all you see is avatars or names. You never get to see the names behind the faces, and sometimes it gets a little bit heated as well as we turn into keyboard warriors. That's why it's kind of nice at times just to have a face-to-face conversation at times and actually see the people behind the keyboard. And it makes it all a little bit more human as well. So how are you finding things yourself at the moment? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, very interesting, fascinating time. As you probably know from some of my threads, I'm a kind of student of economic history. And you see COVID in two or three lights, and obviously the personal tragedy, and that's the driver. But the patient, as you know, was very, and I know you know as well, the patient was very ill before COVID, i.e. the world economy. And the business I'm in, I've gone through my bankruptcy last year, so I feel the pain that a lot of people are going through. It's not a laughing matter, but I use to help me through. I made billions in my time for companies. I mean, I was a trader and structuring the city. I made tens of millions myself. I've lost it all through various life actions, and I'm better for it. It's been hard. I had people from these groups send me food only 4 or 5 months ago, when I literally had nothing. I didn't ask for food, and just people, an old 75-year-old lady sent me 200 pounds of Sainsbury's groceries 5 months ago, and we had nothing. So very heartening. And I'm in a great place now. I'm in the biofuel business. We're working on some projects that are potentially massive. I'm getting paid, and I'm using this, but I always say stole money. They didn't legally steal money, but I believe they ethically stole money from pension funds. I'm using those skills to good order to try and, change the world of fuel. So it's a big mandate. So,
that's good. That's good. So how are you finding things at the moment? Because the interesting thing with things like biofuel and renewables and all this kind of thing is it's been gaining momentum over time. And then all of a sudden, fossil fuels have collapsed in price. So we're seeing the collapse in oil prices. What impact does that have on your kind of market right now?
You see, you've got the double whammy. I'm a student of all things finance, and we've seen negative interest rates. That was my game. I was interest rate derivatives. People couldn't understand that, and it was never going to happen. And guess what? It didn't. It's there, and it's not going away. I think the US go that route as well. That's an aside. So now we've seen negative oil prices. Schmo wants to turn up to Sainsbury's, fill his car up and get paid. But it's not going to happen quite like that. It was a very technical situation in the delivery month in WTI. Oil prices are collapsing. They're as cheap as they're ever going to be. The product that we sell is predominantly used cooking oil. So you then ask yourself, what's the supply of used cooking oil? Well, it's predominantly every restaurant in the world, which has closed down. So you've had oil total supply abundance. Biofuels have some waste derivative that's from restaurants or something like that. So the spread gap out to levels that are crazy. So I'm a big believer that you can only be green at a certain percentage over and above the price you were paying for whatever product it was else. Yep. I think we'll pay a little bit extra. The product we sell, not sure you can buy gas oil at 15 pence per litre. This is all ex-taxes, industrial rates, ex-taxes and duty. So 15 pence is gas oil. We buy this product at about £1, right? And it's the same. So nobody is going to pay in the world 85 pence difference per litre. So there are various mechanisms that help us bring it. There's a certificate market where polluter pays. So that kind of gets it down to about 60 pence. So you still, we would have had this conversation 10 weeks ago, it was 20 pence. Yeah, and that was a lifetime opportunity. How can you have something non-pollutive as we move to carbon taxes, CO2e taxes, change through the dirty stuff? So it's a fascinating world. I've got a few, I honestly believe, and I'll say it with humility, could change the way fuel is priced globally. At that. It's very exciting. And, we've seen half of our clients sadly disappear or be sort of furloughed or trenched. And we've seen quasi-governments, national interest clients go very much to the fore. So our volumes up like 200%. And I think the one thing that you're seeing every day, the one thing we're seeing every day is everybody's seeing the satellite pictures, the NOx reports. There is a world out there that we can breathe in. You probably close the world down for right or wrong reasons for X amount of deaths. And we wouldn't think about for X times 3 amount of deaths or whatever the metric is for pollution. Well, I think that's now been challenged. So, we're seeing, I'm an ex-banker, and the bank I used to work for, the CEO put out a very learned piece on we're in the middle of a world war now against the unknown enemy. As and when we beat that person, we've got the next unknown war. It's against climate change. And let's use the fact that we have closed the world economy down for an amount of death significantly less than the bigger picture argument, but more visible and tangible. So, I talk my own book, but I'm very excited about this. I'm very, we'll all be looking at various ways, and we have to find efficient ways to do it.
I guess that's the thing, that whether it's good or bad, it's forcing us to reevaluate a whole load of things as to whether that's how we use fuels, how we operate as businesses, how our economies work, how the financial systems work. Because everything, it's like multiple black swan events happening all over the place. There's so many things that were so far off the radar. Whole countries locking down, whole businesses locking down, whole industries, and that. But I think you're right. It's going to force us to kind of reset our economy, our business, and our personal approaches as well.
Yeah.
That's going to be fascinating. But it's like we're going through a very bad storm right now, and I'm feeling quite seasick. and I'll be glad when we can see land again.
No, totally. I've just got a little child in the car. Bear with me a second. He's asleep, so just outside the house.
And I think we've just lost you off your Wi-Fi there.
Yeah, I'm totally in agreement. I mean, it's interesting because I never thought that I'd be penniless. Again, having made, with humility, a lot of money. And it was a very humble process. And, if you'd have said to me, how would you get by on nothing? I'd say it's not possible. And I did for a year. And a lot of people will be going through that between now and, the next X months. And, I'm a bit of a sort of it's funny, I was an arch capitalist in the Thatcher era. I was 16, 17 years old, and that was free markets. And free markets don't work. Not that any other system works. Free markets are fallible because of human greed. Everything's always fallible because of human greed. Yep. And it's just, where is that sort of the Singapore model? I mean, that's perfect. I'm a big sort of watcher of the Federal Reserve and quantitative easing, and it's borderline criminal what they're doing. It really does serve a vested few, and I'm on quite a lot of threads about investing, and these people who are talking about value, such thing as value investing at the moment. It's not possible when you have the Fed committing 10 trillion to underlying liquidity in markets. Yep. So you really got to go and take the biggest, riskiest asset you can and load up. I mean, my view on housing is very much, with respect to all the people who did it, a lot of people who didn't really understand the risks of taking have made a lot of money in housing, and interest rates are at zero globally. They can only really go one way, up. And we've got all these people had all these people piling into properties. I'm a big fan of all these LinkedIn things, challenging these guys with these get rich quick property. I've made millions from property. I've asked every single one of them how they measure the risk they're taking. They have not got a clue.
Yeah. I
So
think
I think that,
well, I was going to say, my personal view is it comes down to something that I've learned, having worked in financial services, having worked for a commodities trading company, having worked in insurance, anything to do with money, whether it is investing, trading, pension funds, hedge funds, buying property, anything whatsoever is gambling in some way. It's a form of gambling. You're putting money in, and ultimately it's all about risk management, risk profile, and it's no different from putting money on the horses.
yeah,
Ultimately, and
yeah,
in fact, the only difference between the two is tax treatment.
yeah,
Ultimately,
and social perception.
exactly right, and it's the perception and the taxation which differentiates it. But when you speak to someone who's like an investment manager, and you just say, well, what you're doing is a form of gambling, and there's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with that,
No,
and they go, what do you mean?
It is what it is.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the whole thing. Insurance. I've spent many years working in insurance. Insurance is I will give you some money to bet against
Yeah.
me not having a claim.
Yeah.
That's ultimately what it is.
And all these metrics are based on returns of somewhere between 4 and 7, 8, 9%. Whether you've got long-term rates at 0, it doesn't work.
Exactly.
We're in that melting. You understand? We're in that melting metric where nothing is working. That's not even going to pensions and liabilities there. I am a gloom and doom tempered by real gloom and doom economically, tempered by human nature. We will find a way.
Mm-hmm.
We are in the shit. The dollar, there's a very strong argument for the dollar complex, dollar going really strong. There's a very strong argument for the dollar complex being like toilet paper. It's just printable and you can do whatever. So, ultimately you're going to get asset price inflation until you kind of hit the wall again. And the thing I haven't got my head around, maybe I'll pop my head in here. I'm not a crypto buff. I'm a big crypto fan on periphery. I wouldn't know how to mine if you paid me, right? I'm so surprised that Bitcoin hasn't gone ballistic in this, and can't really, put my head around it. I'd be interested in your thoughts on that one.
Well, it ties in with my belief because I'm a crypto advocate, but I'm more actually into the technology that sits underneath it rather than it being cryptocurrency. So cryptocurrency to me is kind of like an entertaining sideshow. It's a feature that's fascinating to watch, kind of thing. And so I love it when you get all these experts saying, "Oh well, crypto is it's a hedge against other assets. It's got a low correlation, and therefore it's good for having portfolio diversity and this kind of thing."
Yeah.
And you go, "Okay, I get that. You want diversity and that kind of thing. That's good." But people say, "Oh, and it's a safe harbor for just like how gold is. Gold is somewhere that you go to for safety type thing." And loads of crypto people have been saying, "Oh yeah, and crypto is the new gold." It's like, no, it's not. Crypto is Pokemon cards on a big scale.
Yeah.
And if you like collecting Pokemon cards and you think there's a demand for Pokemon cards, great, go buy some. Or if you're into gaming and virtual gaming and all that kind of thing. So it's kind of similar to that. And that kind of annoys a lot of the crypto people who are making a living out of this. But you have to realize that the total crypto market at the moment, I can't even remember, it's probably somewhere between 250 and $300 billion.
Yeah.
Which makes it about the size, if you think about, there's 5,000 cryptocurrencies at the moment. Bitcoin's about 2/3 of the value.
Yeah.
There's 5,000 crypto coins. There's something like 60 million people playing this market. Total market cap 300 billion. That means the total crypto market is the equivalent of Pepsi Cola.
Yeah.
In terms of market cap type thing. So what you're basically saying is you've got thousands of techno geeks playing with the share price of Pepsi.
Yeah.
And that's it.
It's interesting. I mean, the way I look at it is slightly different, but certainly market cap is a brilliant way of looking at it. And also within crypto, obviously, better than anybody, but we need to diversify. I like non-fiat, right? So that's my fiat is dead, dying. You just can't keep printing 10 trillion. You're talking about 200 with printing 10 trillion, and the dollar isn't going down, right? I mean, that says broken the system is. And if I was looking for a safe haven, I agree with. I don't understand anything about how the mining is processed, but I'm not. When I talk crypto, I'm not talking a Libra linked to some
fiat currency. I'm talking a way out of fiat currency.
Yep.
You know, is there amount of, there are a finite amount of Bitcoins, I believe, and there's a finite amount of power to produce them. That's no different than a gold standard. So without knowing anything about crypto, I'd even challenge you to say the Pokemon cards. If the Pokemon cards with a bunch of rules that can't be changed too easily, they're possibly worth more as a currency than somewhere where the Fed can hit the shit. The Fed will go, here's 10 trillion.
Yep.
I'll buy everything that moves.
And that's the one thing that differentiates crypto is that it is censorship resistant. That's the only difference. And and once you're in the crypto world, and this is where DeFi, so decentralized finance, is coming into play.
Yeah.
Once you're in the crypto world, and you no longer need to be connected to the fiat world.
That's the problem. How do you break that? Because at the moment, if I go to try and buy something, I need my fiat currency to buy crypto, right?
Yeah.
And bring it back to...
Exactly. And this is my whole point, that people say you can't regulate crypto. And I say, well, I agree you can't regulate crypto, but you can regulate the on-ramps and the off-ramps. So at the point at which you want to put money into it, you can have limits, and you can have banks saying, oh, we're having to KYC check everything. When you try and take the money out, they'll be doing CTF checking and source of funds and all that kind of stuff. So they can make it very, very difficult. Once you're at the point where, once you are paid in crypto, and once you can buy things to eat, drink, and live in crypto, it's game over for the governments, and that they no longer have the control. But we are a way away from that yet. And even where people are using stuff to buy things like Starbucks drinks using crypto, they're still using a gateway where it gets converted from Bitcoin
into pound, shilling, and pence, or whatever.
Exactly. Once we are away from that, and once we do have an economy where you can earn in crypto and pay in crypto and buy things in crypto and travel in crypto, that's where we're in a different world. But we're a while away from that yet.
Yeah, no, that's fascinating. I mean, we should touch base. I mean, if I wasn't in biofuel right now, I would probably be trying to sort of peddle my wares and stuff, because I'm fascinated about finance, shadow economies. I was very involved in the set of the credit derivative market. I invented the index that's now traded as the FTSE equivalent for credit derivatives, and that. And at the moment, I'm just putting my lot into biofuel. But and again, blockchain's not me as the tech side of it. It's the shadow banking, the decentralized finance, as you called it. And I need experts around me to help me, within that. I guess a quick question I have is, I don't know whether you know any. I put an advert out. I wanted to try and get some help on Excel. I'm not a computer modeler, right? And I'm going that way a little bit. I used to have a team of 100 doing it for me. Startup, it's me, right? And I put a note out the other day. I was trying to find somebody who'd been furloughed, or who could help. Basically, like a really strong Visual Basic developer. But the critical thing is, I can afford about 15 to 20 quid an hour. And I know it's not the going rate. And I was trying to find somebody who needed a bit of help, because when I needed help, it's there. And at the same time, I employed somebody who kept telling me it was worth 50 quid. And we literally spent the first 3 weeks doing some good work, and him telling me every time we want to pay more money. And he didn't understand where I was coming from. I'm not trying to rip him off. So if you do hear of anybody who you think was in that league, who needs a bit of help, and needs 200 quid or something like that for 10 hours work, I'd love to engage with somebody. But the critical thing, I don't want them to develop. It's a sort of double ask. I wanted to develop and help me. And the stuff we're doing isn't that complex. So if you hear of anybody in that regard, again, it's sort of an off-market level. It's not insulting, hopefully, but it's 200 quid if you haven't got any food on the table will help.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the thing, that we're soon going to be at the point where I think things like that are going to be very much appreciated.
Yeah.
And I suspect we're probably only a few weeks away from that.
I think you're right. I'm probably a little bit early. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I agree with that. Well, we could always have chat separately offline about if you need some help with your Excel stuff, because I'm a former BI person, so business intelligence. So I do a lot of stuff in Excel, Power BI, Tableau.
I've got two types of Excel input help that I need. One is I'm pretty poor with static data, and we've got a lot of static data coming into the biofuel business now with our order book. So creating a system there, and you very rarely get somebody who can do both. The second angle is dynamic pricing, taking feeds in from dollars, from currencies, from SPIPs of futures. That's the bit that the static guys hardly ever transfer into.
Yep.
And creating quite
complex models is too, complex pricing formulas off vanilla inputs that are constantly moving,
Mhm.
and it's quite difficult getting somebody who understands both.
I used to do it in oil trading.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
you need that and it's not finance background in terms of accounting finance. It's financial markets background.
Yep.
Yeah, and the second word you mentioned finance, 1,000 accountants put their hand up and haven't got a clue if it moves.
Yeah. No,
I've got to shoot here, guys. I've got a conference call, but just checked in accidentally, and I really appreciate your time and enjoy your work. And
come and join us, Alistair, any other time. I'm running this every day, same time each day, 12 to 2:30. Sometimes we've got 10 people on here from all around the world.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just a one-to-one chat type thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if ever you want anybody to sort of outline what's happening in the world of biofuel, I'm more than happy to just sort of give a 5-minute version of what I think's out there.
Cool.
And obviously, oil is quite topical at the moment, and trying to save this planet of ours is always topical.
Absolutely, that'd be a good one. Okay, well, nice to speak to you then, Alistair. Have a good day, and go and wash your hands.
Yeah, exactly. Take care.
Cheers. Bye now.